The Avengers, the Fantastic Four, and the X-Men roll up to Latvia, ready to fight Doctor Doom. Hey everybody, Colton here, and in this one, I thought that we would discuss this leak that's been going around over the weekend, this Avengers Doomsday plot leak. Now, the reason I do this is because I'm very conflicted on whether or not to give this leak much credence, because here's the deal. It is a conglomeration, really, of a bunch of leaks that we've already heard, whether it be from Daniel RPK, Alex Perez, My Time to Shine, hello, corroboration from people like John Campea or Robert Meyer Burnett. We've heard a lot of what's in this leak already. And to me, that's what this is. This is just, it reads to me like someone took all the leaks that we have gotten, threw in a little bit of fan fiction, a little bit of stuff we've seen in the trailers, and created this story. The reason that I feel that way is because there's just some major pieces missing. There's no mention of the Wakandans, who we know were a big part of this. There are a few other things I'll get to as we read through it, because I do want to read through it with you guys, kind of tell you what I think's real, what's not real, react to some things that I'm unsure about that we haven't touched on. But it just feels very lacking. And I feel like if this were like an actual plot leak that someone like, maybe they've received like okay, here's what happens in Doomsday, and they've got that from like an inside source and they type it all up, I feel like there'd be a little bit more to it. But hey, maybe I'm wrong. We'll just have to see. I am not going to read this. I'll pull it up on screen, because I am instead going to read, it's over on comicbookmovie.com, Josh Wilding, who we get quite a few articles from Josh that we read here on the channel occasionally and that you guys send me with questions. I just much prefer how Josh put it together over here, and kind of has it, separated by each bit. It's just easier to read and I think flows better. So full credit to Josh over here at comicbookmovie.com. That's the one we're going to be looking at. So I'll just kind of provide some commentary as we go. I have, of course, read the full one. I'm sure you have as well. I hesitated to even make this video because I'm so late to the party on it, but I figured why not? We've been covering all this Doomsday rumor mill crap, right? So, and it's fun, so let's take a look. So, Josh starts with, yes, the plot of Avengers Doomsday really has leaked online in full. With reshoots planned, we can expect some changes, and as always, there's likely a fair bit that's been lost in translation as it's been passed from one person to the next. That's totally right. These leaks that are coming out, they really are like a game of telephone. You can definitely expect some of it to be true and some of it to be very wrong, and it not even wrong in a malicious sense, but just that's what happens in a game of telephone. Josh continues, however, we've done some digging and have verified with at least 2 trustworthy sources that what you're about to read below is the real deal. Okay, I hadn't read this part of Josh's article. Okay. The plot of Avengers Doomsday is detailed from start to finish. While there are 1 or 2 points that are a little fuzzy, all signs point to the Russo brothers delivering a suitably epic movie that, alongside Avengers Secret Wars, will wrap up the multiverse saga in style. Needless to say, major spoilers follow from this point on. All right. So the movie's opening scene is, of course, the Hugh Jackman Wolverine, Ryan Reynolds Deadpool in the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man universe. We've heard rumor after rumor after rumor about that and how it's kind of built up. First, it was that those 3 share a lot of screen time together. Then it's the X-Men are suffering a lot of incursions. One of them's with Tobey's universe, so they're there to destroy his universe. They succeed. Then that turned into, oh, it's actually Deadpool and Wolverine versus Tobey Spider-Man. Doc Ock was mentioned in the midst. It's a lot. Let's hear what Josh and this leaker who has put this out. That really it does feel like just a conglomeration of a lot of different leaks being put together, but I digress. Avengers Doomsday begins in the reality that Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man calls home. He's in the midst of a battle with Deadpool and Wolverine, who have been sent there by Beast with a device capable of destroying this world, similar to how the TVA would prune timelines. Okay, and that makes sense that Beast would be the one that was able to develop something like that. Wolverine manages to set the device and stays behind, perishing alongside the web slinger. Deadpool, meanwhile, returns to his world while we see Professor X watching on with sadness as another planet falls. I like that setup of Xavier kind of overseeing the whole thing, and like Deadpool and Wolverine being dispatched. I'm curious if, and see, this rumor is already, like, this specific one, this leak is already being told different ways. Some say that Hugh stays because he's having to stay and fight Toby Spider-Man, from, stopping the bomb from going off or whatever. I think it'd be kind of cool if he stays just kind of in solidarity. Like, I can't keep doing this. You would think they'd mention here that perhaps we'd have Professor X reacting a little bit to the fact that Wolverine was about to die. Now, as I've said, I don't think that Wolverine or Spider-Man die in this opening scene. I think it is going to be left kind of open-ended. Maybe it's kind of implied to the narrative, like within the narrative itself. It is assumed they are dead, but I think we as the audience are meant to understand. We didn't see any bodies. They're still alive. They'll be back in Secret Wars. At least that's what I'm kind of hoping for, and what I think will happen. So Josh continues, however, the X-Men had no choice but to blow up the Earth, as similar to what we saw in Jonathan Hickman's New Avengers run, which led directly into Secret Wars. You either save one reality or both be destroyed in the incursion. Yes, that is what happens in Hickman's run. We see the Illuminati pretty much secretly destroying other universes without the rest of the world knowing, and kind of living with that, pain and that weight on their shoulders to keep their reality safe. And it kind of sounds like the X-Men are filling that role a little bit in this film, instead of having it be the Illuminati. The movie takes us back to Tony Stark's funeral in Avengers Endgame and follows Steve Rogers into the past, where he chooses to build a life with Peggy Carter. They have a son, Jim, of course, named after James Buchanan Barnes, Bucky Barnes. They have a son, Jim, and receive a visit from Loki before the Loki Season 2 finale, though we are not sure how this retcon fits into the Disney Plus series just yet. Yeah, I'm curious of that as well. Is it during the time when Loki spends centuries learning like quantum mechanics? Is it between the penultimate and the finale where Loki's trying to save the multiverse, but it keeps collapsing even though they've expanded the ring, and then he goes and has his meeting with He Who Remains? It could have happened in there. We'll just have to see. It is interesting, though, that they're making sure to say that it takes place prior to Loki taking the throne. That's interesting. That could also be a really important, like, narrative point, to have Loki meet Steve and kind of explain to the audience, maybe those who haven't seen Loki, because let's face it, a lot of people are going to see Doomsday. A lot more people are going to see Doomsday than saw Loki. So, I mean, that's going to be necessary for them to have some creative exposition in there. So Loki warns Steve about the TVA's plan to prune his new timeline and offers to move them to a world where they can safely hide because they don't exist in that Earth 828, the home of the Fantastic Four First Steps home universe. Loki leaves the former Captain America with a card that he can use to contact him, and he, Peggy, and Jim spend a happy 10 years there together in Universe 828. The Fantastic Four post-credit scene is then expanded on, and Doctor Doom... Okay, so the scene where Doctor Doom is in their apartment, Franklin's, like, older now. What was it, a 4-year time skip? So he's, like, maybe... How old is he at the end of the... Maybe he'd be like 5 years old at this point. And we know Doom's looking at Franklin, and it cuts there. We've heard before that Doom, when approached by Sue knows who he is. Like, it's obvious they know each other. Doom tells Mr. Fantastic about the incursions and that their universe is next. They figure out that someone is living in their reality who shouldn't be there, and they visit Steve, him being the one that shouldn't be there. They then recruit him to come help with convincing the Avengers of Earth 616. Sorry, I kind of went off script there. Let me read exactly what Josh wrote. Who agrees to join them on a trip to Earth 616, where he successfully convinces his world's heroes to help Doom enact his plan. So then we have the Avengers versus X-Men battle. Now, see, they're skipping a lot here. They're skipping over the whole part where the Fantastic Four and Doom and Steve Rogers land in the 616, come in contact with the Wakandans, with the Avengers, go on their mission to the X-Men universe. They skipped all that. Why? I don't know. Is it because they just haven't received that information? Or is it because they're just basing it off leaks that come out and nothing is leaked about that? We'll just have to see. So they go to the X-Men universe. There's a brief battle because the X-Men think that they're there to attack. Uh, let me see the movie. Okay, so it's a smaller scene than you might expect in the movie, and the fight ensues with Earth 616's mightiest heroes arrive seeking help. Though it's not specified in this leak, we would assume that they are there to learn more about Beast's device. Okay. The mutant team has survived multiple incursions and are understandably hostile. Later, we learn that Dr. Doom and Reed Richards have a plan to build massive cannons on the remaining Earths, which will somehow separate these parallel realities and end the incursions. Okay, you know what was so brilliant about the Infinity Saga? It's that everyone could understand it. Oh, big purple bad guy needs 6 rainbow rocks to control universe and enact evil plan. We must stop big bad guy from getting rainbow rocks. This kind of feels the same as that. Big cannons on different Earths blow up barrier between realities, save multiverse. That's kind of how it feels. This cannon idea, if you blow up the barriers between the realities, what we understand about the MCU is that then allows for those realities to collide, because if the barriers erode, they collide. It sounds like Doom is somehow saying that if we blow up the very fabric of reality between universes, it makes it to where they're just now on like different planes that can never intertwine, and thus preventing incursions forever. But I think that turns out to be horseshit, because one, it just sounds like it's horseshit, but also, as we'll learn later in this leak, that yeah, actually that's horseshit. So let me continue. Separate somehow these parallel realities, and in the incursions, they'll have to split into teams, we expected that, and visit different worlds to place them there. Meanwhile, Steve, now reunited with Thor, tells him that he met a Loki who is still alive and agrees to take the God of Thunder to his brother in the TVA, which they locate with the card mentioned above. Now, if up until this point they're working with Dr. Doom, and as we're about to discuss, apparently Dr. Doom levels the TVA, killed a bunch of TVA people and Loki, you would think that Dr. Doom would be like, no, I need y'all to go do this. Do not go to that place on that card, because he doesn't want them to find out. So I'm wondering if at this point Steve and Thor are kind of smelling something that's not too good coming out of that Dr. Doom direction. I would love to have a scene where Steve and Thor kind of look at each other, and maybe one of them ask if there's something familiar about this Doom guy, and kind of be a little like wink to the audience, because we're like, yeah, he's fucking Tony Stark variant. I know everybody thinks he's not a Tony Stark variant. I guess if you wanted to be even more accurate, but it's really the same thing, my theory is that Tony Stark is more so a Victor Von Doom variant that was adopted by the Stark. I won't get into all that here, but I hope there's some little winks and nods there. So we then see Steve and Thor go to the TVA. They find that everyone is dead, and Loki has had his heart ripped out. I've done like 2 videos already talking about how stupid I think it would be for them to kill Loki again. The same reason it'd be stupid for them to kill Professor X again. I think it'd be stupid for them to kill Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man and Hugh Jackman's Wolverine at the very beginning of the movie. I'm all for killing them, fine, but like in Secret Wars, man, or at the end of Doomsday. You don't kick the movie off like that, personally. I don't know. Things get a little vague here, but... Oh, wait, I skipped something. Okay, so they find everyone dead. Loki has had his heart ripped out. That's just gruesome. And, I mean, think about that. Loki has died in Thor's arms twice, essentially. We've seen Loki die in Dark World. We saw him die in Infinity War. And now we're going to have to see him die again, and probably not even for real, because he's probably resurrected, as the end of this leak suggests. It just gets repetitive at a point. Okay, so Thor is excited that he might get to be reunited with his brother, only to find him dead yet again. His heart ripped out. I don't know. Seems like a bit much. This is where I think the person that put this together might have gotten a little creative. We'll just have to see. So, I keep saying that. My apologies. Okay, so they find out that Dr. Doom is responsible for all this. It's like the aha moment where they realize, oh, this Doom guy, he's not so good. The name didn't give it away. Steve confronts Doom and learns that the villain's true plan is to allow the incursions to happen so he can rebuild the universe in his own image and resurrect his dead family. Things get a little vague here, but Doom takes Steve to his castle in Latveria and introduces his masked followers, one of whom is supposedly impersonating Peggy to manipulate Cap. We had heard that Peggy was one of the followers of Doom. Some mistook her to be one of his witch followers, but she's more so just a harbinger. Now this one is saying that they are simply impersonating Peggy. Hell, I wonder if it's a scroll or maybe Mystique or something, because I mean that they're able to impersonate. Then again, somebody with sorcery like Loki can, impersonate people. So maybe it's, just a projection or something like that from one of these witches or wizards. Steve's presence on Earth 828 is what caused the impending incursion in their reality, which prompted Doom to conduct dangerous experiments that eventually went horribly wrong, killing his wife and child and leaving him disfigured. Look, we knew that Doom had to have a tragic backstory, right? And as we discussed, with Thor now having a kid, Steve now having a kid, Tony sacrificing himself and not getting to watch his kid grow up, you could see the kind of writing on the wall for Doom being someone who had a kid but lost his kid, lost his wife, and in the process kind of lost himself. So it is kind of cool that we're going to get this maybe a little on the nose, but who cares, freak accident story of, what happened to make Doom the way Doom is and put him behind the mask and all that. And it is kind of cool to have him explaining that to Steve Rogers as kind of a bit of an audience proxy. And let's face it, yeah, Reed Richards ideally would be the protagonist of the film, but I guess they're just not ready for that yet. Maybe more so Secret Wars, once we get to the general audience and us as well get to spend a little bit more time with the character. It probably just makes more sense, even though I'm not crazy about it, for Steve to kind of be in this leading role. And it sounds like he is. So that's why he is now trapped in his armor and mask, and to make Steve pay, he kills his kid, in front of him. As of now, we don't know whether Victor clashed with the Fantastic Four before or after this accident. And we don't know if his, Dr. Doom persona of him being kind of a villainous guy, if they clashed before or after that happened, and whether or not they've even clashed before. I mean, I guess you would think that they have, but maybe they haven't. Maybe they've always been friends in this rendition. Josh then threw in this tweet from My Time to Shine Hello, where he says, I can now reveal that the photo they shared is the set where they shot a scene with Doom and his family in a lab during an experiment that kills them and damages his body. So My Time to Shine Hello is referring to the photo of the Doomsday set that the Russos put out to get us all talking about it. I'll pull that picture up, and I'm going to clap right here so it comes up when I'm editing this so I can see where I need to be putting this image here. Just makes the editing easier. I'm a one-man show here, forgive me. So what we're looking at here is this is basically a soundstage. That's green or blue screen in the back with motion tracking dots. We've got a big light pointing at, that's a stage, and we're seeing the back of that stage wall. And this thing here is basically a light reflector. So really this bit that we're seeing here is like the exterior of the set. Where they're actually shooting is on the other side of that metal like paneling or whatever. So apparently over there on that soundstage is where they're shooting this scene with Doom. All right. We continue with the final battle in Latveria. That's a recent leak that had come out. And then a little further back than that, we learned about how, unlike in Infinity War, we will see all of the good guys come together to fight Doom at the end. And that's what we're being told here. It seems Thor has told his fellow heroes about Doom's true nature as the Avengers, Fantastic Four, and X-Men all arrive in Latveria ready to fight. That sounds fucking awesome. Can we take a moment? Can we take a moment? The Avengers, the Fantastic Four, and the X-Men roll up to Latveria ready to fight Dr. Doom. Come on! All right. The God of Thunder then prays to Odin, we've seen that in the trailer, who sends an army from Valhalla to join the battle. And war ensues as the final incursion begins. So, the war is happening. The Earths are colliding. We're probably going to see like a Heimdall, maybe a Jane Foster Thor come from Valhalla, and this could also be the point where Loki returns. If they kill him, this could be the point where he returns. And here's the one thing I will say that would be cool about it and that I would forgive. In the back of my mind, I've always been slightly bothered by the fact that we have two 616 Lokis, the one that died at the hand of Thanos, and our current Loki who we are following, who splintered off at that point from Endgame. They were both 616 Lokis, but they had different timelines. So here's the question. Wouldn't the one that died at the hand of Thanos be in the 616 Valhalla? And wouldn't, if this Loki that splintered off supposedly died, wouldn't he go to the Valhalla of his universe? Like, how does that work when you have universes with multiple timelines? Does each timeline have its own afterlife? Does the multiverse have one big afterlife? How does that work? I like the idea of maybe there is a Loki currently in Valhalla, and if our Loki, who is currently sitting on the multiversal throne, were to die, he would also go to Valhalla, and their consciousnesses would essentially merge because they are the same being of the same universe who just had different timelines. Whereas there would be a bigger difference between different universes. My wife's coming in, the dog's barking her head off. I'm going to pause for a second. All right, Josh continues, there is no stopping that, and everything is destroyed, the incursion. Apart from Doom, everything is destroyed. When he stole Loki's heart, he stole his powers, and now uses them to create Battleworld, resurrecting the fallen Doom. Oh, wait, resurrecting the fallen. Doom erases their memories and makes it so that they only remember this new reality where they have new lives in this false reality. With that, Doom sits on his throne as the God Emperor of Battleworld. We still have some unanswered questions, and there are some plot holes. Did Doom killing Loki start the incursions? And if he'd already stolen those powers, why did he need to formulate that plan with the Fantastic Four and team up with other heroes? Was he just distracting them in a bid to stop them from preventing the final incursion? We'll have to wait and see. For now, however, we can tell you that there's no link between Doom and Iron Man. Well, in this movie, no, they don't address it, no. And perhaps, unsurprisingly, no mention of Kang. Well, that's not very surprising either, is it, with the recent news that Majors is doing that Disney to Daily Wire pipeline, that canceled to right-wing pipeline that Gina Carano did as well. You know, I really thought Majors, if he sat it out for maybe another 3 years, he could have maybe bounced back, but maybe not. Anyway, we're not getting into all that. But yeah, when that news came out, because see, I was thinking, man, maybe he makes a little Kang cameo, maybe. After that news came out that Jonathan Majors is doing that Daily Wire movie, I was like, oh no, they told him that he's done. His agents have told him he's done. Yeah. All right. Doom and Iron Man. No Kang. We've also learned that Doom's villainous turn occurs during the fight between the Avengers and the X-Men, so there's some key details missing from this initial leak, Josh says. All right, and that's Josh's take on it. Thank you, Josh. I enjoy your articles over there on comicbookmovie.com. So yeah, guys, there's the leak. I don't believe it. I think this is a leak of... it's just a put together thing of leaks. Does that make sense? I don't think this is an original leak. I think this is someone took a bunch of leaks and put them together into a story. There's a lot missing. I don't like the idea of Loki dying again. But if they go the route, I guess, of everybody dies in that war, but then Doom just resurrects them all, fine, I guess. That better include Loki. I also like the idea of Doomsday being more of a, yes, a sequel to Endgame in a sense, but also kind of focusing on the, like, putting the MCU characters kind of in the forefront of it, and then have Secret Wars, maybe have a Hugh Jackman, Wolverine, Tobey Maguire, Spider-Man in a leading role, put Loki in a leading role, put Doctor Strange in a leading role. All these characters who are kind of taking a back seat in Doomsday, have them have a leading role in Secret Wars. And then you can, of course, have Steve Rogers as well, have a bit of a leading role to, you know, kind of mend that, you know, have there be a bridge there. You don't want just Doomsday to, none of the main characters of Doomsday to be main characters in Secret Wars. You don't want that. But I hope there's a lot of new main cast for Secret Wars, and then some of the Doomsday cast be leading, and then maybe some more take maybe a bit of a backseat since they got to be in Doomsday. That's kind of what we saw happen with Infinity War and Endgame, right? We saw some characters who didn't have a big role in Endgame because they got to have their big role in Infinity War, and then characters who weren't in Infinity War got to have their bigger role in Endgame. So it kind of just works out there. But yeah, let me know your thoughts on this down in the comments below. I wasn't going to cover it because it came out over the weekend, and I was trying to do one of those, what's it called, where you don't work on a certain, a day off. I was trying to do a day off. But I'm incapable. And I think here in a second I'm going to talk about the Paramount thing. So yeah. All right. I love you guys. Let me know your thoughts. I'll see you soon. Bye.